So today, Cervelo have launched their brand new all-aero Aero 5 gravel race bike, and very much a bike designed for racing. So the new Aero 5 is claimed to be a lot more aero than the old bike. Not just a little bit more aero, but a lot. A claimed 37-watt drag reduction over the old bike, and that's a massive, massive saving. They also claim it's 10 watts better than its nearest rival, but it doesn't name that rival in the press release. So let me know what bike you think they tested the bike against by dropping a comment down below. So some big aero claims. There's no white paper with the press release, just the claims. So their claims, not mine, just to reiterate that. The bike system weight is also lighter as well, a claimed 66 grams saving over the old bike, although the frame itself is actually heavier than the old bike. It was sub-kilo and now 35 grams heavier and just over a kilo. The weight saving comes from the knee fork, handlebar and the seat post. So the whole weight is lighter, but the frame on its own is heavier. So worth bearing in mind if you are comparing the weight to other bikes on the market. Now, let's talk tyre clearance, the real meaty subject of any gravel bike launch right now, because tyres are getting wider. The trend is for wide tyres, even mountain bike tyres. As you'll know, if you saw my video on this subject, link down below and up above in case you missed it. And clearance on the new Aero 5, drum roll please, is 45. Yes, 45mm wide tyres, which, I'll be honest, doesn't seem enough at all for a brand new bike launch in 2025. And I can hear people rushing to the comment section right now to vent their annoyance and frustration at the tyre clearance on their bike. And it's fair to do that, because I think a good gravel race bike right now has to have clearance for at least a 50mm wide tyre, like the ME Mog, for example, if not wider, 53, 54 maybe. And there are outliers like the Allied Able and the Argon 18 Dark Matter, which go up to a colossal 57. And we saw the Canyon Grail be panned by you and myself for only taking a 42 and not being updated when they launched a new version with a DT Swiss suspension fork just a few months ago. So yeah, 45mm tyres, what are they playing at? Is there a good reasoning why? Well, maybe aero and narrow tyres are more aeros. There's also another reason as well. Big chainrings. Those high speeds and unbound require big chainrings, and to accommodate wide tyres and big chainrings is quite a challenge in terms of packaging around that area, around the bottom bracket, the chainstay, to make everything fit and not have any interference issues. And a new bike accommodates up to a 52 tooth chainring, so that might explain some of the reason why I stuck to 45, the combination of aero and that big chainring compatibility. And there's something else really interesting that leaps out from the press release for me, and it's how they talk about the handling and geometry of the bike being influenced by the size tyres you go for, which is nothing unusual. But whether you go for match tyre sizes, so same tyre size front and rear, or a mixed tyre size. And they talk about the setup with 42mm tyres front and rear, which they claim gives the best handling and stability with a low bottom bracket height, or a mixed tyre size, but not in a way you are probably thinking, and the way I was thinking when I first read it. They talk about having a bigger rear tyre and a narrower front tyre, which makes sense from an aero point of view. We've seen that on road bikes in the past with a narrow front tyre, but it's at odds with the trend that I've seen at Tracker, where a bigger front tyre has been used, a mountain bike tyre where clearance allows, and a narrower, faster rolling rear tyre, which is a mountain bike trend. So it's opposite to that. So really interesting approach there to mix and match tyre sizes in a way that is at odds with the trend that I'm seeing out there in the gravel races where the pros are competing. So yeah, very interesting. So clearly all about aero and less about that mountain bike tyre compatibility that many crave on a modern gravel bike. Other changes to the new Aero 5 include in-frame storage like on their Caledonia, UDH dropout so you can fit the new SRAM Explorer group set, and a T47A threaded bottom bracket. And another interesting controversial detail, I think, is the new fork to save weight. The bolts for caliper go through the front of the fork, which we've seen on open and 3T in the past. So clearly a Gerard Ruman influence there, which might save weight, but does look a bit ugly in my opinion. So I'm not really sure about that personally from a pure visual looks point of view. Now back to Aero claims, because the bike is all about Aero and Aero is hot right now. Cervelo, as you know, is a company known for Aero. They were the first to do an Aero road bike with the original Soloist, an alloy bike 15 plus years ago. And their P3 time trial bike is probably the most popular, successful time trial triathlon bike of all time. And their S5 Aero road bike is doing very well in the World Tour peloton indeed. Been used pretty much the entire time, and the ride is not going to a more conventional lightweight bike like the R5. So very interesting how trends for bikes are changing. Now, the Aero claims, of course, come from the tyres being quite narrow compared to what we might expect, the new frame and fork as well, but there's also a brand new handlebar which contributes 5.7 watts of saving on the entire bike. So handlebars, as we know, are a big Aero saving straight away. The frontal surface area going narrow, that can save you a bunch of watts. And it's a really interesting looking handlebar. It's flared, so 40 centimeters in the hood and 46 in the drop, so narrow on the tops, very narrow in fact, and then flared in the drops for more control on the descent. And it's also highly customizable as well, with both internal and external routing available as well, which is kind of cool. Now to prices. How much will the new Aero 5 cost if you want to rush out and buy it? Well, I only have UK prices to share with you, and the range starts with the frame set costing £5,000, so S-Works type money really. And the first full build is £8,000 with a SRAM group set, all mullet gearing on the SRAM bikes as well, so the Eagle 1052 cassette and a big chainring on the front, and then topping out at £10,000 for a SRAM red group set. So, reaction time. What do we make of the new Aero 5? What do I make of it? Well, I'm a bit disappointed, if I'm honest. I've always liked the Aero. It's always been a great bike. From the original one launched many years ago, it's always been a great bike. Fast, light, stiff, good on the road, good off-road. But the tyre clearance on a bike is a bit of a disappointment. And I chose an MB Mog recently because it has space for 50mm wide tyres. And I think that's a bare minimum these days for a gravel bike, whether you're racing or riding for fun. Give you more options to fit the tyre you want, and as a UK-based cyclist, having mud clearance as well. It's literally hammering down outside rain right now, so I know the trails this afternoon will be muddy, and I need mud clearance between the rubber and the carbon. So mud clearance is a factor, or stones going through the bike, and the bike does limit the scope to go to a wide tyre. And that choice is explained by the clear Aero focus of the bike, and we are seeing how important Aero is for racing gravel, and the speeds are really high for the pros. But I'm not a pro, you're probably not a pro, you're watching this, so how much does that Aero, how much does that 37 watt saving really matter to you and I? I'm not so sure. I think I'd take a bike with bigger tyre clearance and less Aero as a bike that's more usable for riding I do. And I still like riding fast. I'm not racing 23 miles an hour for 200 miles, but I still like riding fast. But I want big tyres because it's quite chunky where I live. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed, but that's based on the press release. I haven't ridden the bike yet. I will get a chance to ride a bike very soon. So stay tuned for my first ride and review of that bike. Maybe riding the bike, I might change my mind. But right now, I'm not really sure where it fits in. It's in the same company for me as the Canyon Grail, a fantastic bike in many regards, but limited, hobbled you might say, by the rather strict tyre clearance on it. So yeah, interesting one. Anyway, let me know what you think of the new Aero 5 by dropping a comment down below. And if you want to see my review of the regular Aero 5, which has the same tyre clearance and many of the same features, then watch the video right up here.